The other night, I was supposed to be looking up a video on mortgage rates, something practical. But then on the homepage, I saw this image. It was a guy I didn't recognize. And his face was caught in this perfect, almost theatrical expression of disgust.
Yeah.
He was just looking at a single bright green pea sitting on a pristine white plate. And the text in this really clean font, it just said, "It's not what you think."
Huh. That's oddly specific.
Right. I don't care about peas. I had no idea who this person was. But the combination of that high-quality image, the bizarre emotion, and that tiny, intriguing phrase, I clicked it.
Of course you did.
An hour later, I am deep into this guy's channel. It was a food history channel, apparently. Never did find that mortgage video. And I kept thinking about that first click. It wasn't an accident. That little image was a perfectly engineered trap.
It's a trap of persuasion. And that's what we're talking about today. It's the digital equivalent of judging a book by its cover, but the stakes are impossibly high. Your thumbnail is the video's billboard. It's the executive summary.
Proof everything.
It is the single element that determines success or complete obscurity. This is high-stakes performance engineering.
Exactly. I think most people see thumbnails as this, optional aesthetic thing you just slap on at the end. But what our deep dive shows is that they are not accidental. They are psychological traps set on purpose.
So our mission today is to really unpack the science of that click, looking at the core psychology that drives it, the algorithmic metrics that reward it, and, well, the design principles that turn all that theory into actual views.
Okay, so let's start with that human element. The moment I saw that P video, my rational brain it shut down. So is the click truly a design problem, or is it fundamentally a psychology problem?
Oh, it's overwhelmingly a psychology problem. I mean, analysts suggest that a thumbnail success is about 90% psychology.
90%?
Yeah, and only maybe 10 to 20% is about the aesthetic design. You can have the most beautiful graphic in the world, but if it doesn't trigger the brain, it's just useless.
So what's the trigger then? What's the mechanism?
The single psychological mechanism driving those clicks is curiosity. We're all driven by what's called the curiosity gap.
Right.
It's that highly uncomfortable space between what we know and what we desperately want to know. It's like a cognitive itch that clicking promises to scratch. A great thumbnail perfectly defines that gap without giving the answer away.
That makes so much sense. The thumbnail is the question and the video is the answer. So what are the best ways creators use this? Because I imagine there are different angles on curiosity.
There are. There are basically 5 high-leverage ways creators engineer that intense need for closure. First, you have moment thumbnails.
Moments.
They capture the instant right before a powerful reaction or a breakthrough. They make you think, okay, what happened next?
Right.
Second is story, which sets up a high-tension narrative. Third, you have result thumbnails, which show the stunning final outcome but hide the entire process.
That's fascinating. So I'm thinking about like long tutorials, building complex furniture or something. A result thumbnail must work really well there, right?
Absolutely. If a video is long or complex, showing that desirable outcome up front. The result, it gives you the motivation you need to justify the time investment.
Okay, so that's 3.
Then you have transformation thumbnails, which focus purely on the before and after. It really capitalizes on that primal human desire for change or self-improvement.
And the last one?
Novelty. This is where you combine something weird or unexpected with something totally familiar, like your P video, a common object paired with a completely bizarre specific emotion.
Curiosity is the drive, but let's talk physics for a second. What physically stops my thumb from scrolling past? What are the hardwired signals?
The number one undefeated scroll stopper is the human face, specifically when it's showing a strong, genuine emotion shock, curiosity, delight. Our brains are just hardwired for faces.
They signal relevance.
Exactly. Relevance, danger, opportunity. And the larger the face, the more effective the signal. Beyond that, you look for high contrast signals, money, danger, or movement, and highly saturated, contrasting colors.
And this is where the neuromarketing principles go beyond just, putting a shocked face on the screen. I was reading about this creator, Priya, who's an urban planner. Her content was brilliant, but her thumbnails were super academic maps, flowcharts.
And she was getting nowhere.
Nowhere.
Right. Priya realized she was speaking the wrong language. She was making academic decisions when your brain is making emotional ones.
Yeah.
So for her video on hostile architecture...
Which is designing public spaces to repel people.
Exactly. For that video, she made a radical shift. She ditched the blueprint thumbnail completely.
So what did she do?
Her new thumbnail was a tight close-up of a standard park bench, but it emphasized these cold metal dividers in the center, designed specifically to prevent someone from sleeping there.
And she leveraged color psychology, too. She pushed the blues and grays to be really cold and desolate.
Precisely. She used composition, that tight focus on the dividers, and color to trigger a powerful, immediate emotion. Loneliness, isolation, judgment. She didn't have to use her face. She used the story's object to tell an emotional narrative.
And it worked!
That singular, isolating image spoke the brain's native language of feeling before you even processed the title. It tripled her click-through rate.
Wow.
Because it provided cognitive fluency. You immediately understood the tone and the conflict.
Okay, so that successful psychological click now brings us directly to the metric the platform algorithm actually cares about. The click-through rate, or CTR.
And a high CTR is the platform's signal that your video is instantly relevant and highly interesting.
It's the AI overlord saying, hey, this must be good because everyone is clicking on it.
That's it. And when the algorithm sees that signal, it pushes your video to exponentially more users. We're seeing data that suggests highly optimized thumbnails can boost total video views by like 150 to 154%.
That's non-negotiable for growth.
It is.
And researchers are actually mapping this to establish psychological models of persuasion, like the elaboration likelihood model, or ELM. They say persuasion happens through two routes, central and peripheral.
That's right. The central route is all about informativeness, how clearly the thumbnail conveys the actual content. But this is where we run into the complexity paradox.
The paradox being that complexity can be good and bad.
Yes. Element complexity?
Yeah.
So the variety of distinct element types you use, like a person, some text, a product shot, that can actually help because it layers the messaging.
Okay.
But if you have high object complexity, which means too many distinct objects fighting for attention, like 7 screwdrivers or 10 different labels, it just overwhelms the brain.
So element variety is good for clarity, but object clutter is bad.
Exactly. It follows an inverted U shape. Too simple, you bore the viewer. Too cluttered, you create cognitive stress, and they just scroll right past because they can't process it fast enough.
What about the peripheral route cues? That's more the aesthetic frosting on the cake, right? The low-effort processing side.
That's appearance. It relies on things like celebrity endorsement, high colorfulness, and brightness. And studies confirm that using a celebrity or just a highly recognized figure makes a thumbnail inherently more appealing. But the color nuances are really interesting.
Yeah, I remember the source mentioned color polarization.
Yes, the most effective color combinations are polarized. That means you want either high colorfulness paired with high brightness, think neon, ultra-saturated, maximum pop,
Right.
or low colorfulness paired with low brightness. Think moody, deep, desaturated, cinematic.
So you want one extreme or the other.
You do. If you land in that middle ground, mid-range color and brightness, you just risk blending into the background. It signals mediocrity.
Right.
Go neon bright or go moody and deep.
Which brings us squarely into the ruthless world of monetization, where performance just crushes preference. I heard this incredible story about a digital marketing agency selling a new kitchen gadget.
The A/B test.
The whole campaign hinged on this A/B test.
They had 2 versions, right? The client loved thumbnail A. It was minimalist, sleek, very high-end aesthetic.
Right, the pretty one.
The pretty one.
Yeah.
But the agency also ran thumbnail B, which was loud, aggressive, a model with a truly shocked face, a bright red circle, aggressive font.
And the numbers are what matter here. Thumbnail A, the beautiful one, pulled a 1.8% CTR.
And thumbnail B, the one everyone hated aesthetically,
Yeah.
pulled a 7.2% CTR.
That's a 5.4% difference, which, when you scale that, was the entire campaign's bottom line. That is a jaw-dropping margin for just one design tweak.
It proves that optimization is a direct strategic choice for revenue. You're making a performance decision, not just a graphic design decision. And often, the design that works best is when you personally might find, tasteless. But it satisfies that psychological trigger.
And that story brings us right up to the ethical line. I mean, when optimization gives you a 5.4% financial boost, when does maximizing that bottom line cross into deceptive manipulation?
That's the core tension. The algorithm rewards a high CTR with massive exposure, but the audience will quickly punish deception. It's the difference between short-term traffic and long-term channel health.
Like that story of the young tech creator. He had a boring video about a minor software update, and he was debating between the honest screenshot thumbnail which would get maybe 100 organic views.
Versus the clickbait version.
The aggressive, high-contrast clickbait version. The software logo on fire, his face terrified, the text saying, "This changes everything."
And he chose the logo on fire.
Yeah.
He got a viral video, but immediately the comment section just exploded with anger because the video was mundane.
So here's the key analytical point. The algorithm saw that initial high CTR and rewarded him with distribution.
But the audience punished him by bouncing within the first 10 seconds.
Low retention, the ultimate negative signal.
Exactly. Misleading thumbnails lead to a disastrous combination. High click rate, low watch time. And that negative signal tells the algorithm this video doesn't satisfy users. It damages his channel's reputation and future recommendations. The viewer feels betrayed.
So the antidote to that short-term temptation is building trust through consistency.
Absolutely. Transparency and brand consistency are vital for long-term growth. I mean, when you look at creators like MKBHD, you instantly recognize that sleek, minimalist style. Or Tasty's vibrant overhead food shots.
Right.
That consistency builds what we call familiarity bias. You're far more likely to click on a brand or a face you recognize and trust, which of course new creators can't rely on initially, but they have to build toward it.
So let's pivot from theory to application. We need to take all this complex science and turn it into a physical asset that satisfies that 2-second rule. It has to be instantly understandable. We need actionable design principles.
Okay, so we synthesize everything using the 3 C's of high leverage design. First, contents. Every single element has to be intentional. The main character must be the hero, the focal point.
And everything else supports that hero.
Everything else, text, graphics, it has to be additive. It has to provide clarity or context, never repetition.
And the second C, composition, is about structure, right?
Yeah.
Guiding the eye.
Yes. You need to establish a hierarchy, so the main subject dominates. You can do this through scale making the focal point way larger than everything else, or through depth, by keeping the main subject in sharp focus while you blur the background.
And most great designs are asymmetrical.
They are, often playing off the rule of thirds to add visual interest.
And the final C, contrast, is what makes it physically interrupt your scroll.
Contrast is everything. You capture attention using luminosity mixing lights and dark saturation, using rich colors against a desaturated background, and hue using complementary colors like a saturated orange against a deep blue.
But there's one more type of contrast.
The most overlooked one. Contrast against competitors. If every other video in your niche is using that neon green, shocked face, maximalist design, sometimes the smartest move is to go monochrome, simple, and bold. You break the pattern.
The pattern break itself becomes a signal. Okay,
Yeah.
so the design is finished. This is where top creators really separate themselves, right? They test. They treat the thumbnail as iterative.
They absolutely do. Top creators don't wait for a video to fail. They have 2 or 3 variations ready to swap immediately based on initial performance data. For instance, when we look at image quality, we find this counterintuitive sweet spot.
Not what you expect.
Not at all. It turns out neither heavily distorted, low-quality images nor those over-retouched, hyper-perfect studio shots work optimally.
You're saying the too perfect image is almost as bad as the blurry one.
For performance, yes. The brain sometimes perceives the overly retouched, super high production image as manufactured or fake. The data suggests that moderate image quality, that sweet spot in the middle, authentic and clear, but not overly polished, works best.
That is a detail I guarantee most people don't think about. So what are the 3 final checks before you hit publish?
They run 3 mandatory analysis tests. First, the clarity test. Can all the elements, the person, the text, the product, be clearly made out, even when the image is shrunk down to the size of a suggested panel on a mobile screen?
If the text becomes illegible, the thumbnail fails.
Correct. Second, the contrast test. Place your thumbnail next to 3 top-performing competitors in your niche. Does your design interrupt the pattern? Does it stand out? If it blends in, you need to go back.
And finally, the ultimate gut check.
The glance test. Flash the thumbnail to a completely impartial person for 2 seconds, just 2 seconds, and ask them, what do you think this video is about? If they can't accurately grasp the concept in that time, the design is too complex. It won't survive the scroll.
It's so clear that the thumbnail isn't just decoration. It's the single most critical piece of performance engineering a creator produces. It dictates whether the platform's distribution engine even bothers to pick up your video and, whether your brain is triggered to click.
Success in the creator economy really comes down to skillfully navigating that tension between the brain's primal psychological needs, that hunger for curiosity and cognitive fluency, and the algorithm's reward system, which prioritizes clear, high-signal engagement. Thumbnails are an ongoing complex art form that demands continuous testing and iteration. That first click is an investment. It's never an accident.